What is addiction?
The definition of addiction is the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity. Addiction affects multiple people worldwide, causing over 8 million people to suffer in just Canada alone. Some quick facts on addiction. Almost 21 million Americans have at least one addiction, yet only 10% receive treatment. Drug overdose deaths have tripled since 1990. Just from 1999 to 2017, more than 700,000 Americans died from overdoses. More than 90% of people who develop an addiction started to use drugs and alcohol before the age of 18 years old. And about 20% of Americans who struggle with anxiety and/or depression also have a substance abuse disorder. This mostly stems from the user trying to self-medicate and use the drugs to replace bad feelings most of the time.
Some examples of these things and substances that can get you addicted strays all the way from video games to crack cocaine.
Here we see James, who is completely addicted to Kool-Aid jammers.
The term addiction used to only indicate psychoactive substances, but nowadays, psychologists and health professionals insist that psychological dependency, such as with video games, sex, smartphones, gambling, should also be considered as addictions. Drug addiction and behavioral addiction both cause feelings of shame, guilt, failure, despair, anxiety, hopelessness, and humiliation. Alcoholic addiction is the most common substance abuse disorder, with 1 in every 20 deaths worldwide caused by alcohol.
There are many different characteristics of addiction, including giving up recreational/social activities, risky behavior that may get you in trouble with the law, excessive consumption, and most of all, secrecy and denial. Statistically, people who are disabled, mentally challenged, live below the poverty line, and lack an education are much more susceptible to long-term substance abuse.
Many addicts take substances on their own, without anybody knowing. Upon being confronted, they are unaware of their problem or refuse to acknowledge it. Relationship issues, whether that means friends, family, or a significant other, financial issues connected to the habit, and honestly, at the end of the day, this is how addiction really takes over. Doesn't sound fun, does it? Here are some reasons, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, of why people begin taking drugs. People use drugs to feel good, to feel better, to do better, or just the fact of curiosity and peer pressure. Fortunately enough, we have many sources available to help those in need of recovery. Here are the 6 steps on the way to drug recovery. Step 1, admitting you have a problem. Like I said earlier in this video, many people with addictions refuse. Many individuals, however, end up admitting they have a problem, usually after a terrible experience occurs. Step 2, exploring treatment options. Once a person decides to get help, they have many options, ranging from an inpatient rehab center, one where you live there for a period of time, or an outpatient rehab center where you have scheduled meetings and counseling. Step 3, finding support. Build a support group of sober individuals. Talking with people who have been through the same thing may greatly benefit an addict.
Step 4, making sobriety last. This includes avoiding anything that acts as a trigger, whether that's friends, family, a place where drugs are prevalent, etc. Step 5, creating a meaningful drug-free life. Involve yourself in meaningful activities with trustworthy people. For example, take up a new hobby, join a sports team, or even volunteer. Step 6, keeping the hope alive. The final step is for an addict to be able to forgive themselves if they tend to relapse, and to not let it interfere with their journey, but to provide a powerful message/learning experience to move forward.